Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Hasham. In this video, I am going to explain you about the deductions from salary income and the format of computing income from salary. These two topics I am going to cover up in this video. So before starting the explanation, take a screenshot of the points which I have written on the board, then I explain the deductions from salary income. In the previous video, I have explained you that income from salary will be computed under four components. First, we take salary, then we take allowances, then we take perquisites, and lastly, we will take profit in lieu of salary. So, salary, allowances, perquisites, profit in lieu of salary. The total of these four components is called gross income from salary. From gross income from salary, deductions are allowed under section 16. Only 3 deductions are allowed under section 16. So after giving the 3 deductions, then we'll get income from salary. This is the procedure. We have already covered up all the 4 components. We have discussed the theory. We have done the problems on the 4 components. Now lastly, deductions from gross total income, deductions from gross income from salary. Deductions from salary income. While computing the income from salary, the following 3 deductions are allowed. The first one is called standard deduction under section 16(1)(a). Then second, EA, entertainment allowance deduction under section 16(2). And third, professional tax or employment tax under section 16(3). So only 3 deductions are allowed. After deducting these 3, then we'll get income from salary. That's it. One by one we'll discuss. First, standard deduction under section 16(1)(a). It is a compulsory deduction. This deduction is compulsory one for the persons who are having income from salary. So any person who is having income from salary, definitely they will get this deduction, compulsory deduction called standard deduction. So every SSC who is having income from salary, standard deduction is allowed to meet the various expenses that employee has to meet. The employee has to meet a number of expenses relating to his employment. For example, going from home to office and coming back from office to home. Similarly, some stationery will be required. Similarly, some medical expenses will be incurred. All incidental expenses the employee is incurring in relation to his employment. To meet all these incidental expenses, Income Tax Act has given one common deduction. The deduction will not be given specifically for a particular expenditure. The Income Tax Act says one common expenditure will be given, whether you have incurred the expenditure or not incurred the expenditure, irrelevant. Every SSC who is having income from salary will be allowed a standard deduction. Now, it is allowed as deduction even if he has not actually incurred any expenditure incidental to employment. The Income Tax Act will not see what are the expenditure you are incurring, whether you are incurring or not incurring. Directly it will be given. But the purpose of giving this standard deduction is to meet all incidental expenses the employee has incurred in relation to his employment. Now, since standard deduction is compulsory one, so same is also known as statutory deduction. Because it is compulsory, no way out. So it is also called statutory deduction or standard deduction. The deduction is least of the following 2 amounts. So how much deduction is allowed? Least of the following 2. Gross income from salary or a fixed amount given by Income Tax Act is 50,000. So whichever is less. Suppose the gross income from salary is 2 lakh. So 2 lakh or 50,000, whichever is less, 50,000 is less. That 50,000 will be allowed as deduction. Sometimes the gross income from salary is 45,000. Gross income from salary is 45,000. Fixed amount is 50,000. Whichever is less, 45,000 is less. only 45,000 will be allowed as deduction. So ultimately, this you have to remember. The standard deduction will be least of the following two amounts: gross income from salary or fixed amount of 50,000. All these points which I am discussing now, we have to apply in the problems. In the coming video, I am starting the problem on computation of income from salary. At that time, you have to remember all these things. Next, entertainment allowance deduction under section 16.2. EA deduction under section 16.2. Already we have discussed this EA deduction under the head allowances, and we have done many problems also on computing the deduction, EA deduction under section 16.2. Again, we'll recap. Entertainment allowance deduction will be given to the employees if the employee is receiving EA. If the employee does not have EA, there is no question of EA deduction, right? And EA deduction will be allowed only for government employees. Only for government employee. Government employee means that an employee who is a person who is an employee of central government or state government, but does not include the employees of statutory corporations or local bodies or non-government employees. That means this EA deduction will be allowed only for central government employees and state government employees. The employees of statutory corporations or local bodies, municipal authorities or non-government employees, no EA deduction will be allowed. The deduction will be least of the following three amounts. The first one is 20% of salary. Second, actual EA received. And third one is fixed amount of rupees 5,000 given by Income Tax Act. Whichever is least among these three, that will be allowed as EA deduction under section 16.2. And salary means only basic, nothing else. We should not consider DA, commission or any other thing. Only basic salary we should take for calculating 20% of salary. That's it. In examination, a theory question may also be asked. Explain about the standard deduction under section 16.1a, or explain the EA deduction under section 16.2. So whatever I'm explaining, if you watch, if you listen the lecture carefully, then definitely not only from problems point of view, but also if theory question is asked in examination, you will be in a position to write. Whatever I'm saying, the same thing you have to write. I'm saying about the law. Nothing new I'm telling. Whatever I'm speaking, whatever lecture I'm giving, that is according to law only. Whatever is there in the Income Tax Act 1961, the same thing I'm explaining here. Now, professional tax or employment tax under section 16.3. This is the last and final deduction. If an SSC has paid professional tax or employment tax during the year, he will be allowed a deduction under section 16.3. If the SSC has not paid the professional tax but due, if it is due but not paid, no deduction will be allowed. That means professional tax deduction will be allowed only on payment basis. If the SSC has paid, then only deduction. If it is due but not paid, no deduction will be allowed under section 16.3. That's it. So I have explained you the three deductions: standard deduction 16.1a, EA deduction 16.2, professional tax 16.3. Now last and final, I am explaining about the format of computing the income from salary. How is the format? In what format we are going to find out the income from salary? The four components are there: salary, allowances, perquisites, profit in lieu of salary. The total of these four is called gross income from salary. That's what I am showing in a format here. If you closely watch this format, definitely same format we have to apply in the coming problems. In the next video, I'm going to start the problems on salary. In that, we have to follow this format. So, computation of Mr. Dash, name of the SSC, income from salary for the assessment year. Our current assessment year is 2021-22. Particulars amount, salary. Under the head salary, what are the normal items which will come, which may come? So here the normal items are, first of all, basic pay. Every problem, every SSC will have basic pay. Whoever is having income from salary, they are having first one, basic pay. Sometimes they will get bonus, fees, commission. If it is there, we will take. If it is not there, don't take. Don't think that always every problem we have to write the same thing. No. This is only an illustrative format to make you understand how it looks like. That's why we are showing. What are the items that may come under the head salary? So basic pay, fees, bonus, commission, employer's contribution to RPF. What is this provident fund? Next video I am going to explain you about the meaning of the term provident fund, what are the types of provident fund: statutory provident fund, recognized provident fund, unrecognized provident fund, and public provident fund. All these things I am going to explain in the next video. So here, employer's contribution to RPF, recognized provident fund, in excess of 12% of salary. Then interest, excess of interest on RPF over the exempted rate of 9.5%. Income Tax Act says if interest is credited in RPF up to 9.5% exempted. If the interest rate is more than 9.5%, it is taxable. Then contribution made by the employer to employee under new pension scheme. Sometimes a new pension scheme is implemented and the employer has contributed some amount in the employee's new pension scheme. Employee's new pension scheme is there, to which employer has contributed some amount. That will also come under the head salary. The few items I have explained you. What are the few items? First one, basic pay, then fees, then bonus, then commission, then employer's contribution to RPF in excess of 12% of salary. Similarly, interest credited to RPF in excess of 9.5%. Similarly, employer's contribution to employees' new pension scheme. These are the items. Next comes allowances. Different types of allowances may be given by the employer to the employee. The first common allowance is dearness allowance. It is called DA. It is high cost of living allowance. Because of inflation. Inflation means the rise in the prices. The prices in the market are increasing day by day. That is called inflation. But the salary of the employee will remain constant. So they will be badly hit by this inflation. So in order to combat that inflation, employers normally will give an allowance. That allowance is called dearness allowance. It is fully taxable. Dearness allowance is fully taxable. Whether entering for retirement benefit, not entering for retirement, you should not see. Whenever DA is given, it is fully taxable. Then EA, entertainment allowance. In some problems you can find some employers will give EA to the employees. That will take. So afterwards we have to see EA deduction will be allowed or not. First of all, whatever EA is received, directly we should take it. Similarly, CCA, City Compensatory Allowance, fully taxable. Similarly, HRA, unexempted HRA or taxable HRA. Because HRA exemption is allowed under section 10 subsection 13A. Already we have discussed about HRA. Already we have done so many problems on HRA. So you have to remember the provisions. So HRA, when it is given, some amount will be exempted on satisfying the condition. The condition was if the SSC is living in a rented house where he is paying the rent, then HRA exemption will be allowed. Whether government employee or non-government employee, does not matter. Does not matter. Only the thing is, we have to see whether SSC is paying the rent or not. If we are paying the rent, exemption is allowed. All the cities are divided into two categories. Cities of four metropolitan cities, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and other towns. List of the following three will be allowed as exemption. Actual HRA received, first one. Second, rent paid minus 10% of salary. Third one, 50% of salary for metro. For other towns, 40% of salary. Salary means basic plus DA if it enters for retirement benefit plus commission if it is based on fixed percentage on turnover. All these things I have already explained in the previous video. That is called exemption, HRA exemption under section 10 subsection 13. So unexempted HRA will be taxable here. So all these are only few examples I have taken. DA, EA, CCA, HRA, etc. Apart from the children education allowance is there, traveling allowance is there, conveyance allowance is there, lunch allowance, medical allowance, any type of allowance will be taken under allowances. Next come perquisites. Few examples of perquisites are rent-free accommodation. Most often, accommodation will be given by the employer to the employee. We have done so many problems on RFA, rent-free accommodation, in the previous videos. So if you are continuously watching all the videos, then only you can be able to remember. Otherwise, if you join in between, you will not be able to do any problem on salary. So my suggestion, if you want the perfect knowledge, if you want the good command on income tax, watch all the videos from beginning till end, every video. Now, rent-free accommodation, then insurance premium paid by the employer. Sometimes the employee has taken a life insurance policy, but the premium is paid by the employer. It is a taxable perquisite for all SSCs. Then third one, provision of domestic servant. Sometimes a domestic servant is provided by the employer to the employee. It's a perquisite which is taxable in specified cases. But if the domestic servant is appointed by the employee himself and salary is paid by the employer, then it's a taxable perquisite for every employee. Not in specified cases, every employee. That is also a perquisite. Motor car provided. Last video I have explained you in detail. When motor car is given by the employer to employee either for personal use or for partly private and partly official use, in that case it's a taxable perquisite. So these are few examples I have taken. Apart from that, many other perquisites are also there. So all the perquisites will be taken. Then profit in lieu of salary. These items are very few. Only in one or two problem you may get the item profit in lieu of salary. Normally we don't have any profit in lieu of salary. If in the problem it is not given, just write on profit in lieu of salary and put a dash in the column. If it is not given, right? So what are the items? Compensation received on termination. Actually, what is profit in lieu of salary? I have already explained in the last video. With examples I have explained. So one of the item is compensation received on termination of the employee. Second one, any amount is transferred from URPF to RPF. These two examples I have taken. The total of all these is called gross income from salary. The total of salary, allowances, perquisites, profit in lieu of salary. That is called gross income from salary. From this, deductions are allowed under section 16. 3 deductions. Just now I have explained you all the 3 deductions. The first deduction is standard deduction under section 16(1)(a), which is list of the following 2. Gross income from salary or fixed amount of 50,000, whichever is less. That is standard. Compulsory deduction. Every SSC who is having income from salary, you have to give this standard deduction compulsory. It will not be given in the problem. You must know it. EA deduction will be allowed only if EA is taken here. If entertainment allowance is received, then only EA deduction. If EA is not received, no EA deduction will be allowed. And that too, EA deduction will be allowed only for government employees. If EA is received by non-government employees, no EA deduction. Lastly, professional tax under section 16(3). If the SSC has paid the professional tax or employment tax, then only deduction. If it is due but not paid, no deduction will be allowed. Then take the total of these 3 items, put it in the outer column and deduct. Gross income from salary minus all these deductions, we will get income from salary. That's all. So in this video, I have explained you about the deductions from gross income from salary, that is standard deduction, EA deduction, and professional tax. I have explained in detail. Then format, how to compute the income from salary. What is the format? This is the format I have explained. In the next theory video, last and final video, I am going to take up the topic of provident fund. What is provident fund? What are the types of provident fund, and what are the provision for income tax regarding that provident fund? That I am going to take up in the last theory video. Then after that, we'll start the problems on income from salary.